The onboarding flow is one of the most important user experiences in your app. It's the first time your users actually interact with your app, and it's your best chance to sell them in-app purchases. It turns out that the onboarding flow is actually also really important to get reviews for your app. So I just had to improve the first few moments after opening LaunchBuddy. So this is LaunchBuddy's old onboarding flow, and it is basically a walkthrough over all of the main features. So it shows all of the important screens and also synchronizing with your Mac to the user through an image and a piece of text below that. And implementing it, I thought it would be great because it shows off all of the important features and users immediately know what they can do with LaunchBuddy. But it turns out that a walkthrough isn't the best approach. So in order to improve LaunchBuddy's onboarding, I decided to record the current version and tweet about it and ask for some feedback. And I got a lot of feedback in response. Thank you so much for that. The main part of the feedback was to not actually do a walkthrough, so not highlight the features. Instead, hook the user in right away, provide them value as soon as possible. And also there were some weird match geometry effect animations in the old onboarding flow. I also wanted to get rid of those. So I actually scrapped the entire onboarding, actually deleted all of the files and started from scratch again. And here's what I did. I literally took a pen and paper and wrote down and sketched out what I wanted this new flow to be like. And the main idea is to provide value as soon as possible. How can I do that? By actually hooking them in, by letting the users do stuff and set stuff up in the onboarding instead of showing them features without them actually interacting with the app. So the main idea was to let them add their first app right at the beginning, then add a release to that app. If they don't have an app yet, they could add an app idea and so on, walk through those screens. At the end, there would then be a teaser and a paywall, and the paywall would just be my old paywall. I also tweeted about this approach once I implemented it, and this is how it looked. And I was actually pretty happy with this first version, but the paywall was still subpar. It could be improved. And I was actually fine with this first version. I liked it. It has a very simple design, which I think is good because the entirety of LaunchBuddy has a very simple design. I was aiming with the iOS version specifically to adhere to the Apple standard apps and not go crazy. I don't think I use a single custom button style or anything like that. Almost everything in LaunchBuddy are the native SwiftUI components. So I wanted to keep the new onboarding flow as simple as possible as well. But what I wanted to improve from this first revised version was, of course, the paywall. So I decided to go with a tab view with a page tab view style. So the user would be able to flick through all of the features, and I think that most users probably don't even use that, but I wanted to include it anyways for those users that actually want to have a look at what they're buying. My guess is that most people don't use it. I haven't actually included an analytics signal for that. I might actually do that in the future. Could be interesting to see if people actually interact with the feature carousel. Now, of course, even this paywall could be prettier, but I wanted to get the redesign out as soon as possible. Have a look at the data that comes in and then perhaps make changes based on that or based on your suggestions. If you have any, please, I really enjoy getting suggestions for LaunchBuddy. Leave them down in the comments or email me via my email in the video description and on my channel. Now, my main goal with the paywall is to make the purchase that I want the user to make, and I also believe is the best for the user themselves, as easy as possible, which is why I have that very prominent start free trial button at the bottom, which starts a 1-week free trial for the yearly subscription. This is a good deal in my opinion, and it's what I want my users to be. I want them to be yearly subscribers. Now, I still have a few open questions, namely how I can best show the features or the benefits from buying LaunchBuddy Pro. Right now, they're not too amazingly designed. I was thinking about should I include some screenshots there, some more copy there. I'm just unsure about how to handle all of that design-wise. If you have suggestions, please let me know. I really appreciate that. And then I was also wondering, in my old paywall, I showed a lot of the features that are only available on the macOS version of LaunchBuddy, like filtering your app list, like generating marketing images, changelog images for your app right from within LaunchBuddy Pro, which is available on macOS but not on iOS right now. Now, I'm not sure if I should include those in the paywall and of course mark them as macOS only, because I am planning to have feature parity between both of the platforms. So eventually I want the iOS app to also have all of the features that the macOS app currently has. Now that is still a long way to go, especially all of these image generation features. So I'm wondering, should I include it or should I wait until the features are available on iOS and only then include it in the paywall design? Now, some of these features are macOS specific because I intended the iOS app, which I released later on, to just be a companion on the go for LaunchBuddy, and I would have expected most users to be on the Mac and some of them also install it on their iPhones. But actually, most of my installs now come from iOS, which is, of course, it makes sense because the iOS App Store is just much more, many more downloads go through that every day than the Mac App Store, and also many more apps get uploaded to the iOS App Store. And also my Apple Search Ads campaign only run on iOS, which is a bummer. I would have loved to run macOS campaigns as well. Maybe one day Apple will let us run campaigns on a Mac App Store too. One more thing that I added was a rating prompt when the onboarding flow is dismissed. So right now it's a full screen cover, the SwiftUI view modifier, like a sheet, but not actually like a 3D sheet. It's just a complete cover of the screen shown when the app is first open, of course, like an onboarding flow usually is. Once it is dismissed, I'm asking the user to rate the app. Now I will be observing this very keenly to see if it will affect my reviews. I would guess that my ratings will rise dramatically because right now I'm only asking after specific actions in the app. But I also want to ensure that I don't get a bunch of 1, 2, and 3-star reviews because of this. So if I get too many bad reviews, I will of course stop doing that and get rid of that rating request there again. So what's next for LaunchBuddy? Well, first of all, I want to observe the rate of started trials versus installs before and after the update. Now, I don't get a ton of installs for LaunchBuddy every day, so this will probably take a few weeks of me having a look at my dashboard, at App Store Connect and so on to understand if this will actually increase my revenue or if it has no effect on that. And another thing that I want to be working on next with the iOS version, in addition to feature parity, is to increase retention of my first-time users. So in App Store Connect, I can see that a lot of users only open the app once and then never again, which is of course definitely not what I want them to do. This could be because I'm running a lot of search ads and a lot of installs comes from that with very low intent users. Either way, on the first time the app is launched, I want to schedule a local notification just saying finish setting up your projects in LaunchBuddy or finish setting up your open tasks in LaunchBuddy, whatever it is. Schedule that in the background for, let's say, 3 to 7 days in the future. If the user does not open the app, then they get a notification, might convince them to open LaunchBuddy again and finish setting it up. Or if they do open the app in the meantime, I will just delete and unschedule that notification and they will never notice that it was ever there. If you have any more suggestions for all of these indie related topics, please leave a comment down below or hit me up on Twitter. It's @FlowWritesCode, same name as on YouTube.